And thanks everybody for taking some time to join us today. Um, we've got some fun things to be looking forward to, and as we're looking at the agenda here, there's a few things that I'll be doing, from setting the background, setting the foundation of why, why these things matter. What do we want to try and accomplish by doing construction administration and the tools leveraged by Autodesk Build for that? And then turning it over to Scott Burke, who will take us through the live presentation of what those workflows actually look like. So the part that you really care about, Scott will be taking us through that, and then I'll wrap us up and help manage the way through our Q&A at the end of the presentation. So as we're talking and who the people are that you need to care about, my role as the director of our building lifecycle solutions team means I get to work with everybody on our team that does anything with buildings, whether we're talking about design, engineering, construction, facilities management. I get to work with everybody on that. And one of those key people that I've got on the team is Scott Burke, who's hip deep in all things cloud on a pretty regular basis. So Scott, I don't know if you want to throw anything else out for a self-introduction.
No, that pretty much sums it up. I've been with IMAGINiT, like Joe too, is about 20 years here, and I've been dealing with all the Autodesk products and really focusing on all the cloud solutions as they've evolved through the ecosystem there, and really have worked a lot with both the design and the construction side of things. So I have a good perspective on both of those.
Cool. So then I do have a little bit about IMAGINiT in here. So if you can go ahead and, next slide. As I'm looking at some of the names of people that are joining, there are some names that are familiar to me. We've talked with each other, and there's some names that are not familiar to me, and some companies that are less familiar to me. Doesn't mean that we haven't worked together, but with that in mind, I wanted to take a little bit to maybe remind or inform people about who is IMAGINiT, what do we do? And I'm not going to read everything on these slides. We're going to rip through these pretty quick. But as it relates to the topic that we have today of construction administration, whether we're talking about the tools in particular here, Autodesk Build, or any one of the other partners that we've got shown on this slide, the idea with IMAGINiT is we're pretty picky with the companies that we partner with, that we get into business relationships with. And we want to take that best of breed, best of class, and bring it to your benefit, whether it's the IMAGINiT team that is us, or if we're talking about the Ascent division of the company that writes courseware, or we're needing to get into something a little bit more towards construction administration bleeding into facilities management, where we take it into Aptura software. There's a lot of different things that are possible. We just want to make sure that we're tracking it appropriately there and giving you the tools and the resources that you need to be successful. If you head over to the next slide, there's a number of different locations that we do exist in throughout the US and Canada. I just wanted to throw this out just to say that we do have that wide footprint of resources to bring to your benefit, whether you happen to be in a location that is one of the dots here and we're in the same city. I'm coming to you from Denver, Colorado, or if it's just we're pulling somebody from, if I needed to grab, for example, an individual that has experience working as a subcontractor with framing and just panelization, I'd grab a guy that we've got up on the West Coast. If I wanted to grab somebody that's got a little bit more experience working as a project engineer to give some insight for that, I might grab somebody on the East Coast. If I wanted to grab somebody that is working with the design side of things, we did work in architecture or engineering. You get the idea. There's just a lot of things that we've got available to that. Because in the end, with the number of people that we have on our team working through these different aspects of business, if you head on to the next slide, whether we're talking about buildings or facilities or infrastructure, utilities, we've got the people in those different places to be able to help you. If that's your industry, or if you're working and your customers happen to be somewhere across these different divisions, we've got people on staff with the background and experience to give you what you need from wherever you sit. And on the next slide, just an example of the types of services that we can provide you are just laid out through here. Whether we're talking about just give me some training, just give me some support, that's fine, we can do that. Are you looking for assessment and advice on how your current software environment is set up? We can do that. So it's just our purpose, the purpose for me and my team in working with our customers is to do what we can to make you more successful. And how we do that, it just depends on where you are, what your needs are. Now, back to that piece about the team, last slide about us, and then we're getting on to the things that matter. Just the quantity and the number of people that we have in some different places, whether we're talking about folks that are focusing a little bit more on the civil industry, folks that are focusing more on the building side, so that'll be the team that I work with, software development, manufacturing, lifecycle management of products, you name it. There's all sorts of things that we have. And then beyond this, we've got a dedicated support team of people that are just hanging around waiting to be able to answer that call, that text, that online chat to help you when you get into problems. But these are just the people here that are working with giving you the resources you need to be more effective on a consultative basis. So all that's the quick, couple minutes on who is IMAGINiT and the different types of things that we do that you may or may not have been aware of, maybe a little bit of a reminder. Let's get into the topic of the day. So Autodesk Build for construction administration. There's a lot of different things that can come along with these tools, and the big part being it's communication, right? The reality that we face is that when delivering a project, whether it's in design or in construction administration from that design perspective, any decision that any one party makes can have a dramatic impact on others. And because of that interdependency that we have, we need to make sure that we are communicating effectively within those project teams across the different divisions. Every one of those decisions impacts the progress and success of a project based off of the people that you're working with, other stakeholders that are involved that might be indirectly related to what you've got going on. It's a number of different things that we need to control. And so all of those dashed lines are the ways that we need to be able to communicate with each other, and we need to make sure that the tool supports that. How do we keep our owner happy? Yeah, how do we keep and ensure future work with that owner? Well, we can do that through effective construction administration. It's not just the design side of what we're doing, but it also involves with how well do we help that owner with managing the construction process. And if we go into the next slide, there's a lot of possible risks that we've got in when we don't do things well. And you may have seen some of these different articles mentioned, may not, but when we're looking at these, it really comes down to costly decisions that are delayed, or they're costly because they're delayed, because decisions were made because they were uninformed, or in some cases, decisions were never made. All of these things can have some pretty major implications as we're working through it. Sometimes it's really subtle behind the scenes and people don't necessarily see it happen. Sometimes it's highly visible and it gets broadcast all over the media. We don't like that. Negative attention. We're not in Hollywood and politics. Negative attention is negative. We don't want it. And all this can cause project delays. Damages to our business because of what we're running through in litigation, problems that we're running into with safety on the job site. You name it. There's a lot of different things, but these are a few examples of places and times where it can go bad. Because in the end, a lot of these things for making decisions is difficult. If we head over to the next slide, that it goes back to, like I was saying before, incomplete data. Just not having or feeling that we've got the time to be able to get to what we want to do, to miscommunicate, just intentional sometimes it seems, and often unintentional. It's problems that we've got, and examples, things that we've heard from our customers, from our industry. is, incomplete or inaccurate data leading to these problems where from a facility side, I've heard that up to 14% of rework on a job site could be caused by bad data coming into this. So that's inaccurate, incomplete data causing a problem. Places where, we've got the designers yourselves, the general contractors and subs are all working on different platforms. And that causes a problem because we're all working in our own little headspace and we're not sharing as effectively as we would want to. The time pressure, I'd probably say pretty easily everybody at some point or another feels that we're under the gun for time pressure. And we don't have the amount of time that we want to be able to find the information that we need to make a good decision. So the idea of having all that data in one place helps us out and makes things quite a bit better because we have to have less time researching. And it's just a problem we need to get past. And when we get past it, if you go back to the next slide after that, when we're making those good decisions, to some extent, you could say it's the opposite of what was bad. Well, not necessarily, but what do you need to make those good decisions? We need access to the right data. We need access to standardized data. We need access to, open collaboration amongst all the project stakeholders. We're a people-led industry, whether we're talking about design or construction. We have to work together in teams. And so all of these things that we're looking at are coming from the idea that we're open and we're collaborating, communicating with each other. There's to some extent a sense of trust that we'll have to have, but there's also within that trust the idea that everybody is held accountable for what they've got. We're trusting each other, but we also know who did what and when inside these systems. And if all these things are there, if you flop over to the next slide, the biggest thing we need is it's got to be configurable. When we're looking at these systems, and obviously it's going to be a system that's configurable, I wouldn't bring this up if that wasn't the case. We need to make sure that what we're using for construction administration is something that can adjust to what you need based off of who you are as a firm or based off of what the project type is that you're working on. The CA steps that you might take for a hospital project are probably going to be a little bit different from CA process on custom residential. Just as an example, those are maybe extremes on either end, but they are what is there and what's important. So when we're looking at Autodesk Build for construction administration, there's a lot of different tools and features. We're going to take a look, or when I say we, Scott for us is going to take a look at some of the key pieces and parts of workflows that we can perform inside Autodesk Build to manage construction. On the next slide, we've got a more comprehensive list of the different things that are available to us. I'm not going to read all of these. You'll get a copy of this presentation later and be able to just pause it here and read through it all on your own. But at this point, at this scene, let me turn it over to Mr. Burke to talk about some of these features and workflows that we can have to help us out with CA.
All right, thank you very much, Joe. So I'm going to break this down to these 4 different areas here. So I'm going to start, the slide will move forward, there we go. So that first part is the document management side of the equation here. And many of you are probably already using at very least Autodesk Docs. It comes with the AEC collection license. It is in its own right a light project management tool. And then some of you are also using Collaborate Pro and doing your design work in that environment and so on. So what you're able to do is you're able to take all that data that you have, the project that you have already created, and just turn Build on, Autodesk Build, and then start seamlessly transitioning directly into your construction administration. You already have all the data at your fingertips, and now with Build, you really extended that so that you can be in the field, you can be anywhere, and have access to that information. So again, that's a key thing I want to cover here is continuing with that, with your project in a common data environment, easy access to all of the project data up to this point through all phases of the project, right? Through the design, right through handover to the client, and during the construction phase, of course. And ensure you have certain documents in front of the right people and confirm that they are seeing them and reviewing them if necessary. And also manage, different types of tasks and action items on your project. They could be tasks, they could be punch list issues, a whole host of things. We're going to cover this extensively, hopefully soon here. So I'm going to jump, into the product right here. So, we've already maybe used Design Collaboration, Collaborate Pro. We have our design information here. These are folder structures we've created there. And again, this area is very secure. I mean, I can right click on a folder here and go to permissions and control which people can get in here, which companies can get in here, what their access level is, just view and download only, no upload, no editing, not even seeing a folder if I don't want people to see those things, right? That's all within my control here. So very important aspects of this. And we have our design files. So we already have our design files. We're getting right into construction, but I have access to, all of my design models if necessary. All that data is already here. I can see my architectural model, open them, view them, share them, share these directly with the bridge tool down over here. I could take the models and share them with the contractors. If they're using Autodesk Build, then they could transfer them directly, or if they're using Procore or some other construction management software on the general contractor side, I could invite them into the project here and let them download the data if they need to and bring it into their systems or view it here. Right? Very important part of this. And it's also about all the version control and tracking and who opened a file. All of that information. I mean, I get down to a file here. Let's go to some PDFs that maybe that's what you've extracted from your models that you want to share with your team here. And you're able to go in there and see the files. You have access, of course, to all the versions of any file in the files area or the sheets. We'll talk about that later. You have the ability to compare and see, how did this file change? I just uploaded version 3. How is it different than version 1? And do a quick comparison here. And then I could see all the areas that have changed in red. So red is version 3, blue is version 1. So I know where all the changes are. I can view it in different ways, like side by side is my favorite way because I can see the original drawing and of course see the changes. So all that very valuable tools for being able to go back to the history of things here. And a little superpower of Build here is that it's a universal viewer. I can put anything in here. I could open up an AutoCAD file and never have used AutoCAD in my life here. And now I can view the AutoCAD file. I have access to the layers. I can turn them on. I can figure out what blocks things are. I could open up a Revit model. Non-Revit users would have access to all of that information, and so on. Another kind of important aspect here that I also mentioned is maybe you need to have someone review a document, right? So I can go ahead and I could take this architectural and structural document, and maybe just someone needs to review that for whatever reason. It could be a design review, right? And I can come in here and I can come and submit it for a review, pick the review process that I want to use, a 50% design review. And basically it's going to go to John Jones and Scott Burke for approval, and it will push that through a process of reviewing that. People will receive notifications that they need to review a document. They'll be able to come in here. There's one that's already closed here, and they've gone through the steps. I have the approver here, the initiator who started the review, who approved it, who assigned status to the review here. So it sees approved with comments and so on. So I can push all of that, track all of that, see which reviews are open still, which reviews are closed and have already done, who did them, their statuses, if they're overdue, all of that here. And I can manage that. And this could be any document. Maybe I don't want to review a cut sheet for a ceiling tile, and I want to make sure, hey, is this the right ceiling tile? Or maybe I even put it through a client. Hey, could you take a look at this? Do you approve this design choice of ours for ceiling tiles, or this vanity that you want to use, or this, I might go to the MEP engineer and say, hey, or they may ask me too, is this piece of equipment okay? Whatever, right? You have these abilities to to do all those things. Now, if I go back to the kind of files area there, so let's go back to where I had those documents. And when I look at a document in this environment, all the information is at my fingertips. So if I go back to the PDF plans here, and I look at any of these files right here, first of all, I see that they might be part of a package, that they may have been reviewed at some point in time. When I open that and I look at these pieces right here, these versions, see right there, I see that version 3 was actually approved for construction there, or it went through a 50% design review at one point. That was review number 21, and now it's review 24. It's approved for construction. I could actually click on these reviews, and that would take me right to the review tool and see the history of that. So those are important aspects of this, making sure the right documents get in front of the right people, and you have proof that they have seen them and signed off on this information. And this is any file you want. It could be a PDF, an Excel, a Word file, any of those things. Another very powerful tool here is looking at distribution packages here. So let's look at that. It's a package tool. So here's my 75% project submittal. And I see right here all the documents, or first of all, I see it was created on a certain day. Last time it was updated. This is actually an August review, 75% project submittal. And here are all the files. And notice here that this was version 1 of that file, version 2 of this file, but it is letting you know, just be aware that this is the version 2 was part of this package. There is a newer version, and you can see that if you want, but it's letting you know. And then again, I could say, hey, let's see what the 100% design review was. And these are all the documents that were part of the final project submittal. So in this case, I have some PDF files in here. So get that a little bit bigger there. And there we go. Get that name up. So I have, the names of the files. Some of these are spec documents, some pieces of equipment, the actual drawing files. Any document that was in here that was part of this submittal is here and easily trackable here. Or once I get into and collect all the documents like I've done here and pick them all, I could then send them for a final review right there and take the documents that are part of this package. Hey, I've collected my package, let's send it for a review. Or let's create a transmittal so I can save that. And here's what I've transmitted officially to the distributed team, or to the contractor, to the owner, or whatever, right? So again, this is all part of really just docs at this point, right? We're still kind of in that docs world here. And then about managing tasks, right? So we have the issue tool, which is maybe not the best name for this tool because it's not always issues. It's probably maybe 30% these are issues. The rest of the percentage there is action items, right? So I could come in here and, hey, maybe I just want to take a look at a filter here. So you can filter your issues any way you want. So I'm going to issue by a type, and maybe I want to see my work list. So now I'm organizing this by tasks, right? And now I can see the different statuses of the different tasks. Hey, I need someone to do a site inspection of the restrooms, or a site visit, or mechanical inspection, or need the latest drawings submitted in sheets, right? There was an update. I need to make sure the contractor gets the latest sheets. And I've taken the sheets in my build project and I've linked it, bridged it to the contractor's build project. So whenever I have a new set of construction documents, I can instantaneously deliver that to the GC's build instance if they are using build. Or I can let a contractor know to come and get some files if necessary, if they're using Procore or something along those lines, right? And then I can filter this by just show me the items that are open or completed or closed, and so on. So I have a lot of real, power in that respect here, right? So now the issues aren't issues, right? This is my task management tool, right? So I can actually use this to manage my tasks right here. And if I want, I could export this out as a report. And I go to my reports here, and here's all my tasks. I can download that report or store it in the project somewhere. And here's my status report right here. Here are all the issues, or really in this case, tasks. And I just did a summary report. Hey, is this task completed? Is this task completed? Oh, we still have one that's overdue here, was supposed to be done on September 8th and so on, and there's a few others. So I can just have a summary type of report, which is what this is right there. So again, when we look at this, we're making that transition from design to CA. We're managing all of these things. We have easy access to all the documents no matter where we are. Then I look at this for gathering data from the field and working in the field, and even going in at the beginning of, before design even begins, and using this for site survey. So I see a lot of firms are actually really like this for that ability to, maybe you have some existing CAD files or PDF files, or it's some old blueprints from 30 years ago, whatever, right? You could put them into the system, go to the site and measure things, take photos, document things, all of those things, right? Again, also you can go to the field, you could access your models, again, all the project data, and again, instantly document any issues in related photos, the things you have found, in the field there, right? So in this case, let me jump over to my tablet and we'll go into Build here this way, or into the project. You have access to docs this way too. And here's my project. I can synchronize it so that I can be offline and work. I just make sure that all the data that I need is synchronized, and then I can work offline. I don't have to have internet access when I'm using the app. And it's been specifically designed to work offline if required, which is really powerful. So let's go to the sheets, which is definitely a build tool here. I might go to my existing AutoCAD or a PDF of an existing site, right? Existing plan, whatever, we're doing a major renovation and we need to confirm some dimensions of things, right? So right in the field, I have my sheet right here, and I could pull up all my markup tools. I could go into here and get my dimension tool, and maybe I just want to dimension this wall. So now I know what that is. I can change the color, the font, move things around. I can publish it, which now becomes public knowledge now. So now when this thing is published, that just means that everyone can see it. I can still keep things in a draft mode, for lack of a better term, right there. Or I want to pull an area off something, right? And I could just use an area tool here, and I'm just going to use a simple square area instead. Just being very quick about that. And again, I'll publish that so others can see the area if that was something I needed. Or I'm walking around the job site and I see something and I want to document that thing, then I can go over here and use the camera tool. And I put a little camera icon right there. And then either I can use the camera, I can select something from the photo library, I could select something from the project photos that are already on it. But maybe I'll look at my photo library here. So these are things that are on my on my iPad here that I've already taken some images of, or whatever, a problem that I may have found, an HVAC issue, a door issue, whatever, and I could pull any of that information in, from that. So maybe there's a problem with the sprinkler head right there. So I'll hit done. And I just wanted to show that existing sprinkler right here, and I'm publishing that so that others can see that photo there. So now anyone coming on the plan, and if I'm online when I'm doing this, someone in the office can be having this sheet open and, oh, there's a photo here. What's that? They could pick the photo and, oh, I see what that is. Oh yeah, we got to move that sprinkler head there, or it's missing or damaged, or whatever we're doing for this job, right? But that's the key here, is we're able to go in and add that photo, do that type of documentation, have access to anything that we basically need, right, at any time. So I'm out in the field. Hey, let's go over here to the files area that I showed, like in the docs area. And maybe I needed some information on some data sheets here. So I go to my cut sheets and I needed to maybe look at some of the, the ceiling tiles we're using here, right? And I could pull that information up and I could pull that data up. Oh yeah, is this the one we want to use? Yeah, that's definitely the one we need to put in there. Great, good. So I have access to that information, or I need to look at some of the HVAC equipment and, not the approved ones, they're just the air handling units. And hey, I need information on this air handling unit. Now I have access to that information down here, and I could jump to the different pages that I need and so on. But again, that's the key here. All the data is at my fingertips. And hey, I want to take a look at the model. I just want to confirm something in the real world with what was maybe just built, and how does the model build right here. So I'll go into one of my uploaded Revit files here that I gave to the contractor. Maybe I'm bridging this into their project as well. and I can open up the Revit model. And now I have access to all the Revit data. So all of that is here. I can zoom in and pan, of course. I could jump to one of the sheets like so. And then using this tool up in the corner here, let's turn that little piece off. There we go. Get rid of this. I can use a little place me tool and say, hey, if I was standing here, what would I see? So I can locate that. This is what I would see. So now I can virtually walk around my job site, my 3D model. I can pick a piece of equipment. I can get the properties for it, all the constraints, electrical loads, identity data, any of the information that was part of the model is at my fingertips, right? Anytime I want, anyone who's in the system would have access to this. And I don't have to know anything about Revit or any of these tools, right? Very intuitive, easy to navigate things. Now, another thing we might be doing here, of course, is punch lists, right? Deficiency lists, whatever you want to call them. So I go to the job site, I pull up the sheet, I'm walking around here and I may see a problem, whatever, maybe there's a problem with an outlet or anything like that. So I can go ahead and on the right side, I have my issue tool. Let's go through the issue tool here and what type of issue would I like to create? A punch list issue. Okay, punch list issue is right here. All right. Okay, so now I have to go in and there's certain fields I have to fill out. So maybe I'm missing faceplate here on outlet. And we'll do that. So now I put that information here for description. I can give the punch list an actual name. I'll just leave it as punch list for sake of time here. And I could pick a package. What does this belong into? The electrical package is something I've created and customized. What's the due date of this? Well, maybe it's due tomorrow, right? It's got to get fixed. So, yep, and complete now. So I've set that date. Who needs to do this? I need to assign this to someone on my team, John Jones, all right. Where's the location of this? It's in the main building and it's in the employee lounge, all right. What's the root cause of this? And again, maybe this is incomplete work, right? And then I could either use the camera or add a photo. So I could add a photo from the project library. There's one right there that I preloaded just to make this quick. So I took the photo or I uploaded the photo of that. And notice that I can connect this to files, to forms, to assets, to RFIs, create an RFI from here. See if it's connected to a submittal, right? I have a due date assigned to watchers, the location. So I've now done all the things that are required. It's become an open issue and assigned to that person to resolve. And anyone coming in here would be able to see that punch list item, see all the information, see the photo if they need to look at it. So they have access to that information and so on. So now I've done, quickly done my punch list issue and I keep going on and finding other issues in that room, whatever else I need to basically do here. Or I could, maybe there's an issue in the restroom with the vent fan or whatever I wanted to do, or I just wanted to document something. Again, I could use the camera tool to add that information in. Then right here on my tablet, let's go to the issue list, right? And let's filter the issues by, I'll just go down to one of my custom categories, punch list category here, electrical, drywall, and paint. I'll just pick all the key things that I wanted to have in here. Okay, done. So now I have just all the punch list items related to those things. Hey, and I don't care about things that are done. So maybe I come in and I go to status. I only care about the open items. Now I have open items. Oh, and then actually I only care about items whose due date is overdue. Okay, done. So now I have an instant list here of every overdue punch list item. I can go into it. I can get any information for it. I can see that this is actually referencing the A1 sheet. I can see right here, this is referencing some damaged paint on the wall or some drywall issues right there. That's been documented, all of that. So now I have access to all of this information right in the field, right? I can gather the data, all of those things. And it's, again, at my fingertips. So let's jump back into our PowerPoint there. So again, capture the site data, full access to all the project information and models if necessary, and instantly document issues, photos, problems, and basically be accessible to the office real time. If you have internet access or hotspot to your phone, if your device if your tablet doesn't do it, or use your phone, because you can absolutely use your phone for the app too. It's just get less screen real estate, that's all. But a lot of people do that. And you saw me typing in the description. You can just hit the microphone and dictate it and just say, oh, there's a problem with this faceplate. Done. How easy is that? So it works. I've tested it. It works great. Very seamless. So what this also leads to here is all of this kind of trackable documentation, right? Being able to capture reports and activity logs on issues and punch lists and RFI submittals, forms, track and document all your meetings and project-related emails as well. I mean, some of these are newer features and really powerful, so that I can really truly track everything in my project, right? And actually, while I still have my tablet open here, let's go over to the form tool, right? So we saw one way of doing a punch list, which is open a drawing, add an issue, and document that. But maybe you have to have certain checklists and things that you have to fill out when you're working, right? So if we go to all forms here and we go under my punch list, maybe I pull up my pre-punch list checklist. Here's one that's already done. I'm going to create a new one. So I hit the little plus sign there, check some things in progress. What's the location of this punch list? I'm just going to say main building, but it could be a certain room. That's fine. So now that's set. And now I want to go to the other aspects of this punch list, the general here. You know, I need a date, so I have to put in a date here. So I'm going to just go 09.25.24. Here we go. And that's a required question. See, it's required. Okay, is the closet shelving installed? Yes. Electrical faceplates, and is there a problem there? Yes, the faceplate was not installed that I showed you earlier. Because I hit no, it says, hey, I have to create an issue. I can't submit this unless I do that. So I want to do it right now. And since I've already maybe done that, right, maybe I'll assign it to this one right there and again, save that assignment. So now that issue has been assigned, and you can see a little checkbox there indicate the issue has been done. Now, if I hit no here, must create an issue, or if I hit yes, see, issues are not required, or may require a photo. So I'm just going to hit yes on all of these things and finish this form. And like all these questions are required, so I can't submit the form if I don't add them. Now, if I want, I could also just add a photo to the form in general too as part of the report, connect the form to files, to other issues, to other forms, to assets, and so on. But I can go through here, and what else? I have other sections, right? So that's my in progress one there. So I think I've got all the sections done. Good. So I'm going to submit the form. Oh, I forgot something, hit OK. And I forgot to answer that question, so yes. All right, let's try submitting it now. All right, you want to submit it? Yes. So in this case, it would go to an approver, which I've set myself as the approver. So now the approver would go through the form, make sure it's filled out properly, and it is great. Sign and submit, sign off on that, save it. The form is completed, and it's a completed closed form. And anytime the managers can come in here and see the status of any form that's already done. I have all types of forms that I filled out. I could see, daily report forms I filled out. You can create PDF forms if that's something you want to do and import an existing PDF that you're already using. Here's an in progress one, and here's a PDF. It was just a safety inspection, and I could fill out the form here if I'm the one that's assigned to this. This is assigned to someone else, so I can't fill that form out. But anything that's assigned to me, I can go in and I can fill this form out because I own this form. And I built this intelligence in Acrobat that I made it a fillable form, right? And I could use any PDF I want, add photos, sign off on it, all the same types of things. I'm just going to cancel that because I don't want to save it right now. So I have access to every type of form. Maybe you have a legal state form that you have to use. You could bring that into the system here. So that's all part of that. If we go back now to the actual product right here, if I want to do my punch list report, I go to my issues. I'm in the office, right? I filter by punch list items like I showed you here before, or quality control, or any of those things. And then I can create a report, you see right there, export, create a report. Any report you create gets deposited here. Here are all my overdue punch list item report. Let's take a look at that. We'll open this one. So a cover sheet, your corporate logo, table of contents, the punch list, where it was created, ceiling water damage, who is it assigned to, when was it created, when was it due. There's a photo someone took showing that water damage right there. There's another one right here, punch list item here, exhaust fan not working. There's an image of the photo of the exhaust fan. So all of that's easily collectible, and you can create your deficiency list, punch list, whatever you want to call them. They're all right there. Other aspects of Build here, let's jump actually into Build. And we have the RFIs, right? So in this case, you can manage your own internal review processes here, right? So maybe even if a contractor is using Procore, they may send you a request, you put the RFI, you take the data from Procore, you enter it here, you put it through your own internal review process, you get a report from here, and then you attach the report you create here to the Procore report. And later on, we'll talk about a tool that we have in a service that maybe we can automate that for you now to other outside parties or other build projects too. But really, this is for tracking your own internal processes. This one right here is in review, right? So we're waiting for Scott Burke to submit the official response, answer the document, put a response in there, upload an attachment, and so on, right? Over here, here is a closed RFI. It's already done, right? So someone needed the information, the VAB model number. So John Jones replied, here's the official response right there. It's the whole top VAB, this model number. We've attached an official document as part of this. And then I can export this again as a report. So again, maybe Procore has asked me this question, someone in Procore. I go through my internal process, I get my answer, I get a nice document. I create the report right here. So here's a report for that right there. So we'll download that report. This is what it would look like. So here's the information, the question they were asking us. There's a photo of something I added there, some other data about it, the review process or comments we made, and then here's the actual attachment of that VAB box for the system, right? All in a nice one document I attach to the Procore response and do that. But now I have a record of that. And when you're in the RFIs, you can create your own custom fields. And I think in some cases they already have them built in, where you might have an external tracking area right here, external ID. That's where you'd put in the number of the Procore RFI number. So you know that this is related to something in some other system. And you create your own extra fields here as needed. Submittal is pretty much the same thing, right? You may have to review something, so you get that submittal from either another build instance and they request you fill it out there, but you use your internal process here to review something, put it through a review process, make it official, create a final document, and then you're able to take that document and attach it to the submittal or the RFI in some other system, right? But you can track your internal tracking here. So here's an open item. This one has been submitted, waiting for Vince Daniele here has to take this and submit it to someone for review. So they're going to set this to Sam Smith so he can review that. And then he's going to be able to open the document, mark it up, add comments, add a stamp to it that it's reviewed, and so on. I'm just going to cancel that. So if we look back at this submittal here, this one is a closed submittal. This is for a plumbing fixture right there. And there it is, a Kohler right there. We just needed to have that, this toilet fixture approved. It's done. Here's the approved submittal. I can create a report from this. Once again, let's go to my report log right here. And there's my toilet fixture submittal item, right? And I'll download that. And again, you could either keep this in the system here, you can export it and give it to some other system if needed. But now it's self-contained. Here's your submittal internal here. Here's your review process, what people did through the review process. And then there's a cover page on the actual document. It's been approved as noted, and I marked it up a little bit. Is this okay? And then I just attach the data for this thing that I am basically approving here. But now I have a self-contained document. I have a way of tracking all the submittals that I have responded to within my own private environment. and when I am ready, I can gather the data and enter it very easily into someone else's system if I need to do that. Now, moving on here, we have some other really powerful tools. Meetings, essentially meeting minutes. So now I can manage from the earliest stages of my project. This tool is actually available in BIM Collaborate Pro 2, both of these two tools. The issues are available to all tools, docs, whatever. Meetings and correspondence start with Collaborate Pro and go through Autodesk Build, right? So now I can track every meeting that I want to track, right? I can come in here and maybe I have a safety meeting or a coordination meeting between MEP and structure, right? And here's the first meeting minutes. And here are the people who were invited to the project. John Jones and Sam Smith are the representatives of the two companies. Hey, Al, how often are we going to share files or packages? And we have not decided this yet. It's an ongoing issue in this meeting. How often are we going to share the files and packages? We're going to do this every week for structure. Okay, and that's closed. So we resolved that. What about meeting number 2? Open items move forward automatically. So the MEP item, because it was not closed, move forward to this. Okay, in this meeting, it's going to be every other Friday. So we closed that. Now we have another meeting right here that hasn't happened yet. So it's marked as an agenda. And there's some other things we're going to talk about. I've added some other meeting minutes. They're all open items. This item here is actually assigned to Scott Burke and was due on February 26th and is a reference attached to it about an RFI that's connected to the meeting minute, right? So you can create these meeting minutes, attach people, due dates, statuses, and other things. When I look at a meeting minute, I can connect a meeting minute to a file, a package, a sheet, an issue, a submittal, an RFI, photos, other forms. That's all connected here. And now I have a record of every single meeting, all the follow-up meetings, future meetings, who attended them. But the most powerful part of meetings, in my opinion, is the items. This is every single meeting minute and every single meeting. And what am I going to do here? I'm going to filter it. And I want to say here, only show me open meeting minute items that are overdue. So out of my 300 meetings, there are 7 or 6 items here that have maybe slipped through the cracks, right? Oh, how come this wasn't figured out? What is the lead fabrication time required for this, right? So I click on that and it takes me to the meeting and I see that that was assigned to John Jones here and John Doe as a non-member because you can invite anyone to the meeting, and it was due back in June. Why is this not resolved? Or, oh, it was resolved. I forgot to change the status to closed. But now I can make sure that, did we, out of all these meetings and things we've discussed, did we miss something? This is huge. I can instantly find this information now. Let's look at correspondence, right? Another powerful addition to the product. Now I can track all my emails on a project and not even use Outlook. I could use this instead. In fact, I'm not going to use Outlook for this project. I'm going to manage all my emails related to this project here. You don't have to do that, but you can. You come in here, oh, well, it creates a project email address. Now it creates this crazy number because it has to be unique. And what did I do with this? I went to Outlook and I created a contact for this project. And I just called it the name of the project, Big Box Food Mart. So that if I do anything in Outlook, I can copy the project on all my communications and use Outlook exclusively, but use the CC function to copy all my emails that I want to be tracked in this system, right? So a copy will go here. And I look at any of these right here, and here's a discussion. There's the email string. When I open that, here's email number 1. This is email number 2. Keeps going that way. The status of this has been set to open. It was due. It's a private conversation that only the people who are invited to the email can see. Not even a project admin can see this email because I've designated it as private. And if you don't want to have that ability, you can turn that off. So this is pretty huge stuff. But now I have an ability really here too. I have all these emails that I have. Let's filter them and go by status and show me all the open items, right, that are overdue. Again, so these are all the email conversations that are requiring an action and they're not done yet. What's going on there? I need to make sure that these are getting done. So kind of the last part here is it's quality control, but it's really keeping an eye on your project, right? So again, this goes to issues first for the standard quality control type of stuff, right? You can just go in here and Again, filter, show me all my quality issues, right? So I can go in here and I select the issue type. And I want to get down here to this quality issues. You can create your own categories too if you need to. And just show me the open items, and again, show me just the quality issues that are overdue, right? We need to get these resolved right away. So I have 10 items in this project, quality issues. The toilet's not working here. There's a damaged countertop. A diffuser has visible dents. What's going on, right? I have a quick way to view that, export this out as a report, right? But another powerful part of having all this data in one place is the insight area here. So this is the project insight. So this is all the information about this project, the site weather. I can get a forecast for the weather, the address, design packages I may have distributed here, project issues. I might have project risk. Here's my risk assessment. Here's my design risk, quality risk factors, RFI risk factors. Let's open that. Here's all my high risk RFIs. Here are my MEP and structural RFIs, broken down by the disciplines that they're part of. And a lot of this is actually done. That will take me directly to it, like so. So I can directly get to these issues. Or when I look at some of these other risk assessments, like if I go to the actual issues themselves right here. So we'll look at quality issues as an example here. And I look at, high risk issues or water risk issues. Okay, how did this know that these were related to water? Well, if I look at this issue right here, issue number 466, the AI of this software or the machine learning read this word, or it saw a leak and it said, oh, this must be water infiltration, and it assigned that category. Now you can help teach it by turning these off and so on, right? So very important aspects that it's using this construction IQ to actually go in, read your issues, categorize them, overdue, straightforward. High risk issues might relate to water issues or leaking, high risk subcontractors that might have a lot of issues and things like that, right? So these are pre-built dashboards that are built into the system. And if say you're working with a general contractor, that contractor is using Matterport, which is a job site camera, not an Autodesk tool, but Autodesk allows you to go to a card library here, go to these partner cards, and these are all the third-party vendors that make other tools that you could essentially create this as a master dashboard, and I can get into my job site camera that my contractor has provided me access to because they use the tool. Oh, here's a job site camera, and now I can do my virtual walk around and see this. They do this every week or once a day, and just create it. You have a guy walks around with a special camera. Okay, so this is for the project. As an owner or just someone who manages multiple projects, I could go into my executive overview, and this is my big picture for my company. I can see risk assessment across every single project in my company. So right here, here's the risk assessment across all projects, which projects have high, low, and medium risk, quality risk issues, approval reviews that are late using that approval tool. And you'll notice that there's a Power BI here, right? So Autodesk has this ability to do a mass download right here that you schedule maybe once a day, once a week, whatever. And they provide you, if you have Power BI access, dozens of pre-built templates that are connected to that download. So there's nothing you have to do. You use one of these Power BI dashboards, put it on your system, connect it to that data connection, customize this if needed. And now you have your own dashboards, and you saw here that on this risk page here, I put one of those Power BI dashboards here that's connected to that. So really, even though they have all these data things are pre-built for you and not really editable, if you have Power BI access, you can make any report that you want based on any project data and fully customize that using Power BI. Very powerful aspect of that. So that's really it, right? This is all the things you can do for construction administration. You have all that data in one place. You can track it all, statuses of things. This is a very powerful way to make sure that things are being missed, improve your quality, improve the, your relationships with your clients and the contractors and so on. So I think we can finish with my part and maybe move on to Joe to talk about some of our other things here.
Yeah. So just a quick piece here, and I'm going to motor through these to get to the Q&A, but this is going to actually be related to a couple of questions that we do have in the queue. Questions about, well, what do I, if I'm working in somebody else's site and they decide to cut me off, what do I do about that? Because I've lost access to data. There's a couple of things. Scott had mentioned Bridge as a way to get data from, say, somebody else's ACC site to yours. The other thing is, imagine it has services and tools to be able to connect all sorts of different systems together to get that data from where it is to where you want it to be. So we've got some of them listed here. It's not a comprehensive list. We've got stuff for Yardi, the list goes on. But if you've got your Autodesk Construction Cloud and you want to work with somebody who's in Procore, let's flip to the next slide. There's tools and processes we can use to say if somebody creates a RFI in Procore, our tools can turn around and say, oh, well, here's your RFI in the Autodesk Construction Cloud. You respond to it in your environment where you want to work in ACC. You figure out what that needs to be. You make your edits and submit those changes or save them or whatever you want to call it. That same tool will then turn around and update the RFI in something like Procore or whatever other system of your choice. And they see what they need to see. So everybody's able to work in the environment they want to be in. And we'll just synchronize data back and forth to keep that live and up to date. So you don't have to worry about if somebody cuts me off, I lose access to everything, because we've got tools and things in place to be able to keep your data where you want it to be, whether it's somewhere in a cloud solution or coming down locally. Now, that being said, just a point of caution insight here, if you go to the next slide, not absolutely 100% of everything in ACC or some of those other sites can be transferred back and forth through the different programming interfaces, because sometimes those APIs are incomplete or even don't exist. So we've got some examples here of a couple of things specifically to that Procore ACC connection that are, we'll call them in progress, as the different vendors that we work with update their APIs to allow more and more to happen. We're updating our tools to also allow more and more to happen. So all this comes down to, in the end, all the stuff that Scott was talking about, all the different possibilities, even for the things that we didn't have time to get to. If you flip over to the last slide here, it's just about what can we do to help you make things better. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to enable you and your teams to be as effective and efficient using these tools as you can, so that your projects are going better. The only way we'll be able to do that is, reach out. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about things and see where these tools, or if you're already using the tools, maybe a different way of using the tools can make things better for you. So with that, I'm going to say thank you very much for everybody for your time. I'm able to go a little bit over on our allotted time here for anybody that wants to hang out for a little bit and touch on at least a few of the questions we had in our Q&A panel.